All right, you guys. I want to talk about a pretty important topic with the hunting industry and as well just land management and keeping our ecosystem intact, and that is invasive bush honeysuckle. It's a problem that has taken over my family's farm for years and years, and years prior, generation priors haven't done anything to it. And when it was introduced, it was more of a erosion prevention method, and we can see on like some hill slopes and stuff on some sides that on some creek edges where I could see it being beneficial, but it's just one of those things where they didn't know how invasive it was and how much it would take over, and it's just one of those where in our region of Missouri, I think Missouri is actually considered it the most invasive species now for Missouri land managers, and it's just taking over our family's farm. And I just want to go in and talk about it some more and try to help other landowners or deer hunters or whatever, just to try to give you guys some tips and tricks on how to battle this stuff, because it is wicked. It is the devil's bush, as that's what I like to call it, because this crap just spreads everywhere and it shades out everything beneficial in your life. Basically, is the way I like to think about it. It's going to be a constant battle. For you guys and me that have it, it's just something that you don't want on your property. And if you're looking to put it on your property, I'd please advise you, do not do that. You do not want this crap on your property. It is not beneficial in any way. It does create deer bedding, but look around. It's a monoculture of honeysuckle that once it takes over an area, it will take over. And if it gets so thick in an area, you aren't going to see deer using that. You don't want that in your area. And I just want to talk about some ways how I've gone around to managing it, and how you guys can as well. So first and foremost, I have a brush management contract with the conservation just to try to help with some of the costs of basically herbicide and stuff like that and gas of coming up here. But it's not much money that I'm getting from it, but it's something, because I've always been wanting to get rid of this crap, and I figured might as well go ahead and do that, and do that at the same time, have a little cash for it to help with the costs and stuff. But that's another thing I'd recommend looking into your resources, Missouri Department of Conservation or NRCS or whatever state you're in. Look at your state resources. There's always going to be something out there to help with this kind of stuff. And once I got that into check, I kind of sectioned up into areas of like spots on the property that I will hit every year. And then I'm kind of finishing up this hillside over here. It's about 2.5 acres. And I spent the last 2 days out here with the chainsaw just cutting the honeysuckle, and then you want to push it as flat to the ground as possible, because when you push it flat to the ground, you can run a fire through here. It will consume it, the sunlight on the soil, it will decompose better, and overall it's just going to make it go away quicker, like cedar slash. It's the same thing. We're going to fire through here, trying to just break apart and just get all the minerals back into the soil. And right now, I don't know if you can really, maybe you can see some right here. That's some honeysuckle right behind me. And it's basically everywhere on our property. Everywhere you look, you will see honeysuckle. So it's just one of those things where it's going to be a constant battle. For this area that I've been treating these past 2 days, it's just going to be one of those things where going in with the chainsaw, cutting it. Usually you want to come back like immediate within 2 minutes and put herbicide, but I'm dealing with, I don't even know how many per acre of honeysuckle. Probably 1,000, honestly. A different 1,000 different stems per acre of honeysuckle, if I'm being honest. And it's just one of those things where if I come back and I use my chainsaw, cut one, and then get out the herbicide and spray it, it's just going to be something where time management, I'm not going to be getting through anything. And I know there's going to be so many seeds in this seed bank of honeysuckle from the years and years. It was just one of those decisions. I will be coming back through and treating all those resprouts, and then once I treat those resprouts, you're basically set, because it's going to come up, and then once after a couple weeks, maybe a month or two, it should be tall enough to where I can go back through, just spray it with the sprayer with glyphosate. I have a 4-gallon sprayer, and I use about 12 ounces of glyphosate for that, and it kills it. It smokes it pretty well. And then so I come in here, cut it all with the chainsaw, and then I'm going to come back through, spot spray. Especially there's a lot of little ones that I left for the sprayer specifically, because it's just a hassle to get down on the ground and cut those little ones with the chainsaw, knowing that they're going to resprout again. So I focus on the bigger stems here with the chainsaw, and then I'm gonna come back through, spot spray everything, and then, I mean, it should hold it down for relatively well, and I should see hopefully some native species coming back up. But this is a spot I'm gonna be focusing on for the summer, I would say. I mean, we have 9 acres for this upcoming contract, and I've gotten I'd say about 6 down so far, so we're relatively well. I mean, I don't know how specific they are in their contract, and like if they're gonna look and if they see one thing of honeysuckle, if they're really gonna be like, oh, this doesn't qualify. But I would feel relatively well if they came right now. I'd probably pass the contract, but for my standards, it's just one of those things where I want to be looking around to where I don't see any honeysuckle. So I'm gonna be basically every weekend. I mean, I work Monday through Friday, or I will be starting to work Monday through Friday. So every weekend, come out and just spend time with honeysuckle is basically what I'm doing with my life. And just go in, treat it as well as possible with the spot sprayer, that follow-up. And then this can be done with the same way with the forestry mulcher. This is honestly my favorite way of doing it. There are spots on this property I could not walk through. I laid everything flat. I would cut it. It'd be these giant things of honeysuckle, and I still couldn't walk through. And I looked at my life, and I was debating my life in the moment. I was like, there's no way I'm doing this all on my own. So I hired a forestry mulcher in the area, cleaned everything out. I'll show pictures of kind of what, I don't really have much before pictures of those areas, but just know, like, if you think of just a monoculture of honeysuckle, just giant shrubs of honeysuckle, and you can't walk through it. It's basically the way it was. And then he laid it all flat. And then that was in March last year. And then I came in over the summer, spot spray, same thing. It's going to be resprouts coming up, spot spray. And then this next summer, I went through those same areas again, spot sprayed again. At least we did about 6 acres, or he did. And then I went through and spot sprayed again some of those areas just a couple days ago, and they look great. I'll show pictures of a couple of them. Obviously, the amount of sunlight, the direction that hillside is facing is going to affect what some of these areas look like. Some of them, not a lot of vegetation, not a lot of pounds per acre that I want, but I don't want to be opening up the canopy yet. I just want to control the honeysuckle as much as possible before I go in and try to TSI some of these trees that just need to be gone because they're just too crowded in some of these areas. But there's one area that I'm actually very happy with down the hillside over here. There's a lot. I mean, I'd say a couple 100 pounds per acre of deer forage and a lot of native vegetation coming up as well. So, and that's another thing with TSI. Looking back in high school, one thing I wish I didn't do. There's some areas I came in on this hillside and I was like, oh, TSI. Let's go in, and I didn't know what honeysuckle was at the time. Let's go in, open up some areas, double girdle some trees. So there's areas in here where I girdled the crap out of, a 20-yard area, and it's just straight sunlight coming in. And those were the areas where it was basically the thickest on this hillside. Honestly, it's just you'd walk through and you just see honeysuckle, and you'd look up at this honeysuckle that's like 15 feet tall, be like, you gotta be kidding me. And that's one thing, the biggest advice: don't open up your canopy if you have honeysuckle. If you have it, it is going to overtake everything. Because, I mean, this hillside was already overtaken pretty good from honeysuckle, but nothing like it was like before I opened up that canopy in some of those spots. So just be advised, just don't open up your canopy if you have honeysuckle. Learn from my mistakes on that. But as far as identifying honeysuckle, I'll get some close-up shots, but I'll take a leaf here. So right here we have bush honeysuckle. As you can see, it's going to be opposite face leaves, and then it's going to be like a lighter green color. You will find some like buckbrush in your forest that will have that darker green, and not so, because honeysuckle kind of has like that pointed, like it points pretty good at the ends, and it's not, and it's a lot wider than that buckbrush. So that buckbrush is going to have a darker tint, I would say, and then not as kind of defined like that end point here. It's going to be more just like a round shape on that buckbrush. I can actually, there's buckbrush right here that I can find. At least that's what I call it. You can see, try to see some differences here. It just doesn't have that as pointed as a face, I would say. At least in my opinion, is the way I look at it. You can see this one's very pointed. That one's not as pointed. And then this is a little bit darker tint, at least in my opinion, is the way I look at it. I don't really know if the camera really shows that too well, but obviously the buckbrush isn't going to be like 15 feet tall. So there's another way to look at it. But especially when it's young, like honeysuckle, you will notice like the bark, it's going to be a lighter brown, and kind of as it matures, it just gets darker and darker. Like it will go from a light brown to almost a dark brown, because once it gets like so mature, like when that base gets so thick, if you look at the base, it's just brown. It turns from this color to a dark brown, and it's kind of weird how it does that, how it just changes that color. I guess as it matures, it just gets darker in a way. But on these honeysuckle leaves, you will notice if you are walking in the deer woods in the fall, or just walking in the woods during the fall, that is when these babies put on their seeds. And you will notice it will be on a more mature one usually. If it's a year or two old, you won't notice them with any seeds, but anything older than that, that's more mature, it's going to produce. So you'll see kind of on these leaves, they'll kind of grow. This one's too young to really show it too much, but just going to be red little balls just kind of dapped on each leaf here, is the way the honeysuckle works. And as you can imagine, if you get one mature one, it's going to produce, you know, a couple hundred maybe, maybe 100 just on one mature one. And these birds love it. I mean, they're going to be spreading that crap everywhere. It's all over our neighbors' properties. I've shed hunted some of my neighbors' properties that have gave me permission, and it's on theirs too. So it's on the whole neighborhood. I mean, it's just one of those things where I'm going to be constantly battling it just because it's still on the neighbors. So those birds are going to be bringing the seeds over here. And there's probably still some in the seed bank on those areas that I'm still treating currently that I feel like are done. But if I don't manage it each year, it's just going to continue to get worse and worse. So I just wanted to make this video just to kind of talk through my experiences with honeysuckle, and just kind of let you guys know that it's going to be a battle to deal with honeysuckle. I mean, my body is cooked. I'm actually going to, there's still some areas that I'll probably go, I've gone through a gallon of gas in these past 2 days with my chainsaw. And that usually should last for most people like a year, and I've gone through it in 2 days. So it's just one of those things where I'm just trying to get as much done as possible with the time I have before I start working. And yeah, if you're dealing with it, if you got any questions, just drop a comment down below. I'd be happy to help you with any concerns or questions that you guys have with honeysuckle. If you need help identifying it, you can feel free to send me a picture. Or methods, I mean, I kind of talked about my two favorite, probably mulching, I'd go first, and then spot spraying, and then chainsaw after that. Because the chainsaw, it just, your body just, it hurts your body. And then the last one, you can do this one over the winter time. You have basal bark treatment, which kind of, I don't know the herbicides exactly, but you kind of just coat the bottom bases well of the bark, and basal bark is the name of it, as you can clearly tell. But I'm not really a fan of that one just because of time, and I don't know how well it would actually work. But if you have experiences with that one, just let me know. Especially on those bigger ones, I feel like it might be worth it, because if you're four-wheeler spraying those big ones, it might be a pain in the butt to get all those leaves with the glide that you're using. But you're going to have to use herbicide no matter what to get rid of this crap. So if you're one of those anti-herbicide people, you're just going to have to deal with having a lot of honeysuckle in your property, because you're not getting rid of it without it. So yeah, I just wanted to go out there and make this video. Hopefully it's not too long for me just blabbing around. But I just wanted to talk about my experiences as much as possible, and just kind of how I've gone about it, and that's kind of how I will continue to go about it. So yeah, if you got any questions, just drop a comment down below. Thank you.